So finding area of a trapezoid, which is a quadrilateral that has one set of parallel lines, which means it has four sides, and one set of parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines are two lines that will go on forever and ever and never touch. So a rectangle and a square, they have two sets of parallel lines. A trapezoid is a four-sided figure, but it only has one set of parallel lines. So if you look at this picture, at the trapezoid in the example here, you see the parallel line is in the top and the bottom, and it's the same thing in this example down here that's labeled with our units of measure. Our area formula is 1/2 times the height times the sum of B1 plus B2. When they say B1 plus B2, B1 and the 1 and the 2, those are just called subscripts. It means base 1 and base 2. So you have to be careful here when you're filling in your formula and substituting your numbers, because the bases have to get added together before you start multiplying. Now, your bases are always going to be the parallel lines. So no matter which way your trapezoid is turned, the bases are always going to be the parallel lines, and the height will always be that one measure that connects those two parallel lines. So usually, like in both of these cases, it's inside of the figure and it's dotted. Sometimes we'll see an example later that the height is actually one of the side measures as well. And we'll talk about that later on. So for this example, okay, I see my trapezoid. I have 4 meters, 6 meters, and 10 meters. Remember what I said about our bases. They're going to be the parallel lines. So in this case, our bases are 4 and 10. Okay, those two lines that will never, ever, ever touch. And then that means that 6 is our height. So the first thing we're going to do is copy down our formula. Then we'll substitute. So H becomes 6. B1 and B2, it doesn't matter which one you label base 1 and base 2, as long as it's the sum of the bases. So you could put 4 plus 10 or 10 plus 4. Our commutative property of addition tells us it doesn't matter what order we add numbers in. Okay, and then you're going to start solving. Follow the order of operations. We have to start inside the parentheses first. So 4 plus 10 is 14. So now I have 1/2 of 6 times 14. 1/2 of 6 is 3, right? Or 6 divided by 2. Think about it that way. Is 3. And then 3 times 14 is going to give me 42 meters squared. And remember, you can use a calculator for these as long as you're showing the steps. So this is all the work that you would have to show, just 5 lines of work, but you can do the actual calculations in your calculator. So here's another example. The trapezoid looks exactly the same as the one before, except that the height is just labeled down the center instead. So again, my bases in this case are the parallel lines. So my parallel lines on this sheet are again at the top and the bottom. So my bases are going to be 12 and 14, and my height is going to be 4 yards. So we'll substitute our numbers in. So it's 1/2 times 4 times the sum of 14 and 12. And again, you could put 12 plus 14. It would give you the same answer because of addition. Add up 14 plus 12 and get 26. 1/2 of 4 is 2. And then 2 times 26 gives us 52 yards squared. Now, when you get to this step here, you should recognize it kind of looks like how it did when we were doing triangles. So if you wanted to multiply 4 times 26 and then divide by 2, you can absolutely do that too. Once you get to the all multiplication step, it doesn't matter what order you multiply them in. I just like to go in order, but you don't have to go in order.